In the last day and a half, there's been a lot of talk about this. This ship right here, the one that, of course, slammed into the bridge in Baltimore and crashed it down. And everybody's going on, and oh man, the conspiracy people are out like crazy. Oh, it was a cyber attack, or it wasn't a cyber attack, or people are like, oh, it looked like you rammed it and did it on purpose. You know, the thing is, you can see the power cut. Now, just basic thing when you got fluids and water, and anybody that's even been in a small fishing boat, the second you stop all power to your engines, you drift according to the way the water's going. And my understanding is that section there's another channel coming in on that main channel about that same spot where they started having the power problem. But in the end, I think it's going to come down to the same thing. And no matter what, no one's going to believe the outcome at all. And it's all going to get blamed on this same crap. Okay, we all remember this here. The Exxon Valdez. Everybody remember that one? The ship that hit the reef off the Alaskan coast, caused so many problems. All that oil, you know. And they spent all that time cleaning the animals, saving the animals, putting the captain on trial. And in the end, it all came down to stupid humans. Human error, bad judgment. Somebody screwed up when they shouldn't have. And then on top of that, and then here, remember this one, the Costa Concordia, the damn cruise ship that sank because Buddy thought he was going to impress his girlfriend by coming in as close as possible, you know, and letting everybody down and have everybody on the boat do the salute to the town and all that crap that they do sometimes with these ships when they go by, and they went too close. And again, that one was idiotic human error because apparently the English communication between the captain and the crew was not that great. So then there was the mistake, and it took 13 seconds to correct the mistake, but that's all it took for the ship to sink. This here, same thing. Small mistake. Look what happened. Well, then now we got back to this here. You watch the video of when the ship hits. They lose power, and then they lose power again. And it doesn't take long when you're talking these massive vessels that take forever to stop, turn around, pick up speed. You kill power, you don't slow down. I mean, bloody hell. It's no wonder it's an accident. But now they're talking that apparently it had power issues before it left. So then people are going to say, well, why'd they let him leave? Maybe they knew. You know, it so appears that, you know, they radioed that they were having a problem and the tugs tried to get back out there but couldn't get there quick enough in order to prevent this accident. And it happens. People now are going to be like, they got to change it. It's got to be safer. This is too much. This happens too often. So I had to look. What is the rate that cargo ships, not just ships on the ocean, but these actual cargo container ships have accidents? Well, there's 5,600 of these cargo ships every year that go all over the place. 5,600 ships that travel all over, and roughly 37 of them have an accident every year. On average, out of 5,600. That is 0.65%. And I hope people are saying, oh, it's too high because, yes, there were some people killed in this accident, and that's tragic. And, you know, I feel for the families, and it absolutely sucks. But half a percentage point is so minuscule that you can't blow it out of proportion when these things happen, and people are going to call for everything under the sun, and they're going to go crazy. And then next people are going to start wanting to ban ships in certain areas. And then they're talking that, oh my God, it's going to cause blockage and supply chain issues. Baltimore is relatively a small port, right? There's like 300 and some ports in the US. Like they're everywhere. And some are massive. But Baltimore is 1 million containers a year total on these ships that come around. Like you can't spread them around. It should not be that big of an issue outside of the first couple weeks of rearranging these ships and getting them sent to the other ports and the nearest port. And you will have certain people right now in the next couple of weeks are going to have maybe some backlog on product, like all the cars that come in on this port, you know, and that would be an issue. But, you know, so what? They're going to import a bunch of cars. Well, stop buying the imports. Buy something local made. Relax a little. It doesn't have to be such a problem. I got to fix that light. It looks like I'm wearing frickin' lipstick. But I just wanted to say, you got to not get all caught up in this because we're going to have the conspiracy people all over the place. And people are already ragging on about this because I guess Alex Jones said, oh, it's possible cyber attack. And everyone's calling him a nut, spreading conspiracy theory. No, he said it's possible. And anybody would be a fool in the authorities and in the government right now with everything that's going on to not even look at that possibility. For the simple fact that when you're picking fights all over the world and you got enemies behind every door and hiding in your back pocket, then they're going to look into it. But I guarantee in the end, this is going to come down to human error, and it's going to say it's going to be mechanical failure, but it's going to be human error because the ship probably shouldn't have went out as it was, and they're going to blame somebody, and some poor sucker who really had nothing to do with it is probably going to get strung up and hung out to dry on this, like they always do, because whoever it was that made the real mistake is not going to admit it. And yeah, if it's just they lost power, mechanical failure, electrical failure, they're still going to find somebody to blame other than the fact that it was an accident, it was horrible, it was tragic, and it happened. But no, everyone always has to find somebody to blame for everything. And that's just not right. Sometimes shit just happens. I have to start by saying good on Florida because, quite frankly, social media is a curse. It is probably one of the worst things that has happened to children in a long, long time. I mean, it's nothing but bullying and crap going on there and people being able to get in and influence your kids, and you have no control over what they're seeing. You don't know what they're seeing or where they're seeing it. And this is why I understand why Florida has done what they've done and why DeSantis has signed the bill to ban social media for people under 14. And of course, everyone's going to argue against it. And the people that are arguing against it, they're only mad because they can't get in. It's taking away an ability for them to access your children directly at a young age, when they're pliable, when you can twist them up with ideas and convince them of something that they should not be convinced of. Now it's solely going to be forced to face nonsense. And with more and more parents wanting to be directly involved again in what's going on at the schools and knowing what's going on in curriculums, which for some reason the schools and teachers are against. And here's the thing, if they do not want you involved in what they are teaching your kids, then it's something your kids should not be taught. If they are afraid that you are going to know what they are teaching your children, then it's something your children do not need to know. If people are obsessed with being, I should be able to access your kids without proving how old they are, and I should have unfeathered access to your children with the crap that I'm going to put out online, then you should be looking into them a little further. I mean, they're going to say, well, it has to stop bullying. Yes, because bullying should go where bullying belongs, and that is in the playground. Bullying should only be in the playground. It should be face-to-face, where you can sit there and your kid comes home and they've been bullied. Well, then you can send them back out the next day with a big stick, and they can knock that kid in the dirt and teach that bully a lesson, because the simple fact is you have to fight back. You can't let yourself be pushed around. You can't let your kid be pushed around. I got to do some adjustments with this crap. It's a little bright and I feel whited out, but I really just don't care right now. I got to get this out. I got to say what's on my mind. I have to speak my piece because, quite frankly, I'm in favor, and I think that should carry on almost everywhere. I mean, they're like, well, no, have the ban. Well, what's wrong with the ban? I mean, it's always been for Facebook since they started that you had to be 14 to have an account. So now the only difference is having to prove your age. The only thing I don't like with the bill is there is no onus put on the parents at all to restrict their child's access as well or to monitor them. Now, that is a cop-out. Yes, they should have a age restriction on social media. Absolutely. I don't think people should be accessing it. I mean, YouTube here, they do. If it's not for kids, kids can't see it. If an account has a kid of a certain age, they can't see it. Kids can't monetize accounts. They can't, there's all sorts of restrictions for children. So why should you allow people to have direct access through these apps and these social media apps to your kids? And it's simple as this. They're going, well, I don't know how they're going to enforce it. Well, one, they'll be able to enforce it is we know that the vast majority of social media access for kids and for young people is through their phones. So that is pretty simple. You just sit there and have it. And the parent, when you get a phone and they got this, they're going to figure out a way, enter something in there. And if they're automatically below that certain age, it's going to block access to those apps entirely. 100%. They wouldn't be able to access them in the first place. Then I know people are going to be like, wow, that's insane. And you can't control information. And what about free speech? It's not free speech. Preventing people from accessing your children is not infringing on somebody's right. Nobody else has a right to access your children, to influence your children, to speak to your children without your say-so. People have to remember it's for under 14. It's for children. These people can't make decisions. They're too young. They don't know. They're not smart enough. If they were, we would allow kids to vote, damn it. But we don't, because they're not smart enough. You don't allow small children to drive. You don't allow small children to drink. So why would you allow them to access something else that is just as dangerous? Something that actually messes with your brain. I mean, they know, they study, and they've studied, and people that are in this all the time and in it and focused on it 100% and can't get away from it. And that's all they do is sit there and scroll. It's a problem. And it has to be dealt with. You cannot allow it to be the way it is. 100%. It's absolute shit. I gotta say, I'm going to stop now, because if I continue on, I am just going to blow up at my screen, rant 1,000%, and I'd have to walk away, beat my head against the wall, wait till it hurts a lot, then stop, because that's when it feels the best. So yeah, I'm going to knock it off. End this right here and now. But you can't not agree with me on this. There's no way. Anybody that thinks that everyone else should have unfeathered access to your children is a problem. And those are the people we should be watching out for. Remember, when it comes to your kids, trust no one, ever.